Good morning and welcome to this episode of the AdRoute Podcast. As we continue our spin through the world of college sports, I am pleased to be joined by the Idaho State women's soccer coach, Dustin Downey. Coach, how are you this morning?
I'm great. I'm great. How are you?
Not bad. What was the soccer atmosphere like growing up down south?
It wasn't that bad in Kentucky. That's where I'm from. And there's actually some good soccer in that state. I'd say it's a soccer state, so much so that even about a decade ago now. I mean, they started their own professional program there in the city, and now they've got a USL championship team on the men's side. They've got an NWSL women's side team, and it's full player pathway from the youth all the way to the pro. So it wasn't that bad in our state. And then if anybody knows soccer, NAIA school, Lindsey Wilson, I mean, dominated the soccer world there on the men's and women's side for quite a while. University of Louisville men's team was on the map there for a few years when Coach Ken Lola was in charge. Kentucky soccer now, men's soccer is on the map, in the top 10 every year. So it wasn't bad, and I was lucky enough too to be on a really good team out of Louisville, Kentucky at the time, which made for a really great youth career for me. So no complaints. The only thing I can say, it just wasn't on TV that much back when I was growing up. I didn't get to watch it. Like now, it's on every channel every day, ESPN Plus, you name it. Like it's on TV, and that's the one thing that I didn't get growing up.
In You mentioned in Kentucky, it is known as a basketball state. It is known as an emerging football state, but soccer. What was the impetus but for you choosing soccer? What moment became, you know what, soccer is my thing, and I'm going to go for it with it?
Yeah, no, that's a great question because yeah, you're right. It is a basketball state, that's for sure. State bleeds blue there. But yeah, I grew up playing a lot of different sports. Dad coached high school baseball. He ran like the elementary school football league. He ran the elementary school basketball league. So I was pretty involved with a lot of different things, and still am. Like I love sports just in general. I'm a huge sports guy. Um, and I don't know. I think I just played a lot of different sports. They took me to a lot of different things, and I maybe just gravitated towards soccer because I was, turned out to be fairly good at it and just kind of leaned in that direction. And said, got on a few good club teams and had some really good experiences as a youth player. And, I think when you find something that's fun and you're good at, you want to go, probably like you and your podcast, man, you're crushing it and probably having fun doing it. And you're like, you know what, I'm going to keep doing this. So it's kind of how it probably was for me.
What made you choose WKU, and what was it like being a hilltopper?
Oh man, Western Kentucky is fantastic. If you've never been to that campus, it's a hidden gem of the South. And as you mentioned earlier, it's a basketball state, and Western Kentucky is a basketball school. If you look at top 5, 6 programs ever with conference championships and NCAA tournament appearances, Western Kentucky basketball is in the mix. So the facilities there are growing every day. I don't know again what you've looked at, but they're getting ready to build a brand new indoor football complex. They've just added on to the soccer complex and softball down there with a film room and locker rooms. And yeah, it's just fantastic place. But yeah, an in-state school wanted to bring me on board, and so it was very cost efficient for me and my family to attend school there and Division I soccer. And parents can come watch and enjoy me playing some collegiate soccer. And yeah, it was a great experience there until the team got cut in 2008. And then I kind of went and played my last year at Northern Kentucky University. Then came back to school at Western Kentucky and graduated from there. But yeah, and some of my club teammates went there with me, which was nice. Um, but yeah, no, I love being a WKU alumni for sure, and it's fun to follow nowadays.
What was the learning curve like from being a high school player to being a Division I soccer player?
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know if there was much of a learning curve. I think for me it was probably more the defensive side of the game. And everybody knows how to attack. Everybody knows how to show a little something, show a little flair in the attack, and to be fast. And I think it was probably more the tactical side of the game that you maybe didn't get in the youth side. So, team defensive shape, how you want to defend as a team, what are my individual roles in defending that probably just weren't taught very much, in my youth, whether that was high school or club. So just being able to like get on the field, those experienced players, and those players tell me, hey man, you got to talk to me. Hey, you got to be here. Hey, if you can do this and that, and just working it out with those older experienced players on the field who kind of helped lead and guide, with some of those defensive things and kind of what we wanted to do. So yeah, I'd say that was probably the biggest learning curve, was kind of trying to dive in a little bit deeper with defensive tactics. Yeah.
Also, being a UK, a WKU alum, how would you describe their mascot? What exactly is Big Red, and
Oh,
what type of animal should he be, or what is it?
dude, I'm so glad you asked. Big Red is the best mascot, dude. I love that guy. I was so close to having Big Red even come to my wedding. I thought about it, but uh Big Red. So the what is it? It's not the saying or the quote of the school. I can't think of the right term at the moment, but is the spirit makes the master. That's kind of what the school kind of embodies. Is that saying? And so I like to think as Big Red, he's a mascot. He's the spirit of WKU athletics, and as we all know, spirit's kind of amoebic. Spirit doesn't really take on a shape. So with that being kind of the saying of the school, and Big Red being, quote unquote spirit of WKU athletics, I like to think of him as kind of the spirit of WKU. The spirit makes the master. Um, it's one of my favorite commercials, is with ESPN, and there's an old commercial with him, Big Red, standing outside the restroom, and it shows him looking at the women's, looking at the men's, looking at he doesn't know which one to go in, because yeah, like what is Big Red? So, but yeah, he's the only. I think he was the first mascot inducted into the Capital One Mascot Hall of Fame, and he was also um, he's the only mascot that has a like unlockable jaw that can change facial expressions. He's the only one that can change facial expressions. So he's got a couple things going for him that not a lot of other mascots can do.
Yo, now when we come back from break, I want to discuss the road to Idaho State and kind of where you see the team going now and in the future. But that's after a quick timeout. You are listening to the Ad Drop Podcast on the Believe Podcast Network. We are back with Ad Drop Podcast. Terrence Biggs, Dustin Downey, the head women's soccer coach at Idaho State University. Coach, two-part question. When you accepted the job at ISU, what was the first thing that crossed your mind as far as a goal you wanted to accomplish? And how'd you celebrate?
Yeah. Well, I knew it was going to be a challenge, and I think probably most of the time when a head coach takes a position, there's going to be some challenges involved. And I think for me, it was like, okay, I'm coming into a program that's been down, has a great history of success, been to the NCAA tournament 5 times in its past, but recently hasn't been doing as well as it was. And so I knew I was going to have to be doing some digging, getting us out of the hole a little bit. So that was a challenge I was willing to accept, and I was excited about, and something I wanted to come in and kind of look to do immediately was make sure that we try to develop a culture of positivity, of unity. Come together first before we can do anything else. We got to know where we're going, who we are, what we stand for, what's the vision. So I had to bring them in, and really kind of focus a lot on the culture in that spring. And I think we're starting to get to a place now where we can compete on the field with each other on a daily basis, but walk away after practice and be friends and get along. And so that was something that I think is really good to see, with our young team, especially. In regards to celebrating, man, I think we're just celebrating each small victory. My first year we scored 10 goals, so we went out and said we got to get some goal scores. Last year we scored 25. So in a 1 year span, we more than 100% changed our goal scoring. We got to the conference tournament for the first time in 10 years this year. That's something you celebrate and say, you know what, we're doing some things. Our win-loss record might not be the best, right? But we're doing some things that haven't been done in a while, and so you're celebrating those small victories.
11 of your 17 games were decided either by a tie or one goal. What does it say to the culture you're trying to build where the team seeming like they will constantly play in tight games?
Yeah. Well, I think soccer is one of those. It's somewhat unforgiving, right? It's one mistake can cost you a game. Where basketball, you get so many chances to do so many things and timeouts and play calling and excuse me. So yeah, I mean, the fact that we're in every game, that's something that you can say, hey, you know what? We lost by this game by one goal, or we tied this game, but you're battling and you're competing in every match. And I think so for our team, it's like, hey, we're there. We got to tidy up some things. And so young team brought in 11 freshmen last year and a couple transfers, which made immediate impact for us. Next year, bringing in 7, and just getting more and more athletic. Last year, again, as I mentioned, we were really dangerous and more fun to watch on the attacking side. But now we got to clean up our defensive stuff a little bit more, which this next class I think is really going to help us with. And yeah, I think that's kind of where we are right now, and kind of where we hope to go.
Playing in the Big Sky Conference, it is such a conference where the distance between schools are so vast. How do you keep not just the team's focus on road trips, but your own focus?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's challenging. It's challenging, one, just to manage 28 to 32-year-old, or sorry, 28 to 32 players who are 18 to 22-year-old females. That in itself is tough to manage. But yeah, like traveling and such, I think maybe before I got here it was a little bit more challenging, but we're starting to get to the point now where we're competing regularly in these Big Sky Conference games. So I think these girls, they understand it's business. They want to win. And so when they're traveling and they step on that field, I think they've got a different focus now, especially going to the Big Sky Conference tournament last year. They've got goals, and I think this young group of players that we're bringing in, they want to win. We're bringing in kids that want to play professional soccer. So I think if I can guide them a little bit and say, hey, this is what's expected. This is why we're here. Yeah, we want to have fun. Yeah, we want to make memories, but this is a business trip, and they get it. So there's not a whole lot of problems with focus and keeping them concentrated on the matches. And then for myself, honestly, this might sound weird, but I don't even like coaching games. I love training. I love coaching practice. That's what I love. I love putting a session together, getting them out there, working them out. Come game time, that's their day. That's their day. So for me, it's more about being organized, being detailed in the game plan, giving them all the information they need on that game day to prepare them to go out and do what they need to do. But yeah, I know that's probably a little weird. Some people probably love coaching games. Me, I'm like, I want to sit back and watch my team have fun. So
When it comes to recruiting, you managed to span the world pretty much going from Hawaii to Belgium and Spain. What does it say about the ability to recruit from pretty much the four corners of the globe to bring talent into Pocatello?
yeah, and I love recruiting. I love building relationships. That's what it's all about. I really enjoy speaking with young kids, learning more about them and their families. So it's really just creating those connections with the players. And if you can connect with people, it makes the job really easy. We're not selling the school, we're not selling soccer, we're selling ourselves. And hey, we want you to be a part of our family, and we're going to take care of you and support you and help you build your dreams and goals, whatever it is. We want to be there for you and support you in all those things you want to do. Um, so to be able to connect with people all over the world is amazing, especially knowing soccer. It's a world sport. So Being able to make friends and acquaintances and people from all over the world is fantastic. Um, and then Idaho State, I mean, if you've ever been, the facility is amazing. We got a wonderful grass field. Biasly, I'd say the best in the Big Sky. So, to bring girls to campus and have them walk around campus and see our facilities, again, I don't have to say a whole lot. They're just like, wow, this place is special, and what we're trying to do with this program. They want to be on board with it, and they want to help us do something that hasn't been done in a while. So,
How have you developed a relationship with the fan bases, trying to draw fans to the team and kind of trying to explain how the product is building?
yeah, I think part of it is just our performance. I think people Pocatello is a good soccer town too, to be honest. And there's a lot of support because of the rich history that it's had, the school and the success the soccer team has had. But I think when we start putting a product on the field that people come and they're like, wow, okay, this team works hard. They're gritty. They're scoring goals. Like they want to come support. They want to come watch. A lot of young kids in the community, and being at Western Kentucky was a great example for me. A college town. People that grew up in that town, they come and watch, and they want to be in those players' shoes. Those little kids want to be Idaho State women's soccer players. So having some camps where we can have those kids out to our field, where we can do some fun things with the fans, where our fans are interacting with our players. Our coaching staff tries to get out to as much local soccer competitions here in town as possible, show face, connect with the people of the community. And yeah, it's a great community. And the community itself really does back Idaho State University athletics as a whole. So I think just continuing to be successful and put a good product on the field, and then opening up ourselves and our staff and our team to the community and say, hey, whatever you need, let us know. We're going to try to help you. And in return, just come cheer us on. And that's proven to have been pretty successful so far.
As a native Kentuckian, which would you say is the more Kentucky food, Derby pie or burgoo?
It's got to be Derby pie. Got to be Derby pie. Other notable Kentucky foods: Kentucky hot brown. If you've never had one of those, got to go have one. Especially if you can have one at the Brown Hotel there in Louisville. Again, this is gonna sound weird and probably a little cliche, but homemade fried chicken, that's my favorite. I make it here in Idaho, especially on Derby Day. We make a Kentucky meal, but my mom makes some great homemade fried chicken. Those are big ones. And if you've never, do you like chocolate, Terrence? Are you a chocolate guy?
Yeah.
You got to have a Blue Monday. It's a little. They're only made. I think it might be Ruth Company that makes it, but it's a very sweet little chocolate bar with like this really sweet kind of creamy middle, called Blue Monday. Check that one out next time you're in Kentucky. You'll thank me later.
Last question. Also, being a Kentuckian, has what was your favorite horse in the Derby, and how did they fare in the rest of the Triple Crown?
Ooh, well, last year I didn't make it home this year for the 150th running, but I was there last year for the 149th, and took my wife, and she had a great experience. They're changing a lot now with the track and the accessibility of it, so it was great to be back. I'm trying to, was it Chrome? What was the horse's name? I think he had a great run, and maybe got close to the Triple Crown. And I'm blanking on his name. I want to say like Chronic Chrome or something like that. I'm blanking on the name. I don't know, Terrence. You might have to do some more research. But that was a good year for that horse. Gosh, I'm blanking on the name, but that was, and then obviously, everybody thinks back to Secretariat, which was way before my time, but still have done things that no horse has ever been able to do, which is impressive.
For me, as a casual watcher, I guess Smarty Jones would be my favorite horse of all time because he was he almost died. He banged his head in his stable. They had to kind of see if he was gonna live. He gets up. He wins the Kentucky Derby by a bunch of lengths, and he goes on and comes that close to winning the Triple Crown. Now, for the last 20 years, he's just out in the pasture, just having children, and just spending his golden years as a horse, being taken care of and being just treated like the rock star he was. The head women's soccer coach at Idaho State University, Dustin Downey. Coach Downey, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Ad Drop Podcast.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me.